How are we doing today? Good. Well, needless to say, these first 5 days of practice, I really do agree that is the best way to start. 2 days in shorts, 2 days in helmets and shoulder pads, although I do think that it would be better to practice in shells, put thigh boards in so guys don't get thigh bruises and things like that, and pads today. The acclimation is certainly much better that way. I think it's in the best interest of player safety, and it gives us an opportunity in the first 5 days to, teach a lot of things. And each and every day that we've practiced, most of the time, the Sunday practice that was open to the public is not just the first day in shoulder pads and helmets. And this year it was. We usually start a little earlier, and that's the fourth or fifth practice. So we're a little further along, and I think the incremental improvements on a daily basis at this time of year is, really pretty significant. And I think it has been in each one of our practices. I think, yesterday's practice was better than the day before, and today's practice, the first practice in pads, was probably one of the better ones that we've had in terms of intensity was better, effort was better, toughness was better. There's still a lot of areas that we need to improve on in terms of execution, but that's why we need to have 25 more practices to get ready to play a game, and we certainly have a lot of work to do in that area. A lot of the older players are doing a very nice job of providing a good example for the young guys, and we do have some young guys who may be able to make some kind of contribution, but that will be based largely on their maturity, ability to learn, execute, play winning football at their position. I think that after these first 5 days, which has been really heavy installation for us, we kind of go back and start over again and do a lot less installation and try to go back and fundamentally cover everything that we've started with and sort of condense what we've put in and sort of review it all again. And after 3 or 4 practices, we'll be back to where we started from an installation standpoint. But that's all about getting better fundamental execution. We had 3 guys actually that didn't practice today. R.E. and Ryan Kelly are both day-to-day. Neither one of them have significant injuries. Andre Billingsley actually did not get hurt in football. He just got ill, last night in the dorm, and he's in the hospital for test. So we don't know how serious that is, and we're certainly, sort of monitoring him day to day as well. We've had a couple really good speakers at night that I've really enjoyed. I think the players have really enjoyed. Earl Suttle did a really good job of talking about how vulnerable players are and how they need to watch out for things that could be traps for them out there in terms of what they do and the consequences that it could bring to them. And Don McPherson did a fabulous job last night of how what you do, how what you watch, how what you listen to sort of forms your behavior, and your behavior is something that everyone should take pride in terms of how they represent themselves and their family and the team and the institution and all that kind of stuff. So we continue our personal development programs as well. Questions?
How has Drake Kirkpatrick changed since the spring last season? What's different about him in terms of what he does off the field and what he does on the field, quite frankly?
Well, he's a much more consistent guy, right now as a football player, and I think it's largely due to his maturity and his personality. I think he is much more goal-oriented now. He realizes from the experience that he gained last year in playing that paying attention to detail, doing the little things right, can serve him well as a player. And he's more sort of into it in every way, and I'm off the field as well as on the field. So his maturity has been something that has certainly been an asset to his improvement as a player, and he had a good spring, and he's certainly doing a good job, so far in this fall camp.
You have a scrimmage coming up. What's the purpose of it, and what do you hope that the players and the coaches get out of it?
Well, that's so far off. I haven't even thought much about it. But let's see. What is today? Today's Tuesday. When you get in camp, you don't always know the day of the week. And you're kind of just looking for the next practice and preparing for the next practice and the next installation. And so we have 2 practices tomorrow, 1 Thursday, 2 practices Friday. So we have 5 more practices before we actually scrimmage. But as always in the fall, we're trying to evaluate which players can go out there and sort of take it to the field. And what I mean by that is take what they've learned in practice and what we've tried to rep into them and go out and execute it now on their own when there's no coach sort of telling them what to do, and they've got to make the adjustments. They don't know what's coming offensively or defensively, and you know that's kind of what we'll be evaluating when this scrimmage comes on Saturday. I also think that we want the scrimmages to be a little more game-like in the fall than maybe we're actually concerned about in the spring, because these are the only exhibition games that we have, the 2 scrimmages that we have. So we haven't thought much about it. I know the players probably aren't even thinking about it yet, but I'd say when the time comes, those are going to be 2 primary objectives.
I was going to ask about Christian Jones, just what you see in Christian Jones and what the plan is kind of for him.
Well, Christian Jones is a young guy that has shown some potential and has a little burst in speed and quickness, and we've used him both at running back and receiver, and he looks like a guy that could develop nicely at either one of those. How rapidly he can develop and whether he can contribute to this year's team is probably too early to make that call, but we're certainly pleased with his work ethic, his intensity. He's a bright guy. He learns quickly, and he's done a good job of making plays when he's had the opportunity in practice.
What's the latest on D. Hart, and can he still make a contribution this year?
Well, the guy's got an ACL, so the minimum amount that you're going to be out is 4 months. And I would say that even though it's July, August, September, October, maybe sometime in November he would be ready to start running or whatever, but is it worth it to bring the guy back for that little bit of the season? Maybe he'll be able to practice, some later in the season, maybe in a black shirt, maybe for bowl practice. But we won't make the decision to play him until we see how he develops. And you can't put a time certain on these things. I think our medical staff sort of makes the determination of when and what stage of rehab a guy is sort of ready for. And that formula has worked very well for us here. I think we have one of the best medical staffs in the country, and Dr. Andrews and Dr. Kane, and we have a really good medical staff here in terms of our training staff, and Coach Cochran, who do a good job of, sort of instituting the rehab, implementing it to the players. But we've had really good luck with how we brought guys back based on the medical advice that we've had and how our guys have been able to rehab. So, you just got to take those things day by day, and hopefully at some point in the season, D. Hart will be able to do some practicing. Will it be worth playing the guy this year? That until he's 100% and really ready to go and at no risk of injury, we'll not make that decision.
Coach, could you touch on some of the lessons or memories that you took away from Kent State as a player when you were there in those years, and maybe touch on how the game's changed in your opinion since then?
Well, I think, like a lot of players, I don't remember very many games. I do remember winning the championship our senior year, which is the first maybe in a long time, or I don't know, maybe ever there. But really what I remember the most is the relationships with the people. The relationships with the people who were sort of academic mentors to me, but most of all the coaches. Don James was a fabulous head coach, great in terms of personal development, great in making you be academically responsible and probably, helped for me to graduate in terms of his emphasis on the importance of education, and certainly made football fun in terms of you always felt like you were well prepared, but we learned a tremendous amount of lessons in life that, I still remember today. And a lot of the systems that we used then, whether it's the recruiting system that we use now or any of that, were basically well-organized systems that he used with his coaches. My position coach, Maury Bybin, who has passed away, was a great mentor, to me in terms of not really being a coach, but the kind of person you develop into. But I probably would have never been a coach if it wasn't for those two people, because I had no intentions of being a coach. And, I played baseball too, so in the spring of my senior year, Coach James asked me to come and be a graduate assistant coach. I had no intentions of being a coach. Terry had another year of school. We couldn't move anywhere, and so I decided, I'll just be a GA here and do this stuff and, get a graduate degree, even though I really didn't want to go to school. So I would say those people had a tremendous impact on me. And there were a lot of academic people there that did the same. And I still have a lot of friends and relationships with the guys I played with. So there's a lot of memories, but most of them are relationships. Most of them are the people that were involved with that experience.
With Courtney Upshaw, the difference between him last year and this year with the healthy ankle, what do you see from him in practice?
Courtney's doing a good job. He's worked hard, had a good summer. I think he's very, very confident and certainly executes with a lot more consistency. I think he was healthy in the bowl game last year and played very well. And we like the way he's trying to help some of the other players in his leadership, and he should be a very productive player for us this year.
Also on the defensive line, Nick Gentry, what does his style bring in contrast to the other guys?
Well, Nick's not as big as some of the other guys, but he does have explosive quickness and power and is much quicker than some of the other guys. And he does have pass rush ability from inside and is very athletic. And he's always had a role on our team, and he seems to be in better shape and having a great camp. And, maybe will even make a larger contribution.
Is there anything you can update us on Duron Carter's status with the team?
No, we still haven't gotten the information from the issue is school at these places was out about the same time we started. So to get grades posted and transcripts is the issue. So that's what we're waiting for. And we don't know that there are any issues, we feel like, but we got to get the information so that he's cleared to, be admitted so that he can practice. And we got lots of people working on it. And I know, Duron's probably a little frustrated because he feels like he did his part. He did the work, he got it done early, so he would hopefully get these things done early. And it didn't work out from an administrative standpoint. And I know his family is working, and our compliance people are working together with him to try to get it done.
And last one, on last year, Alfie Hill was here for a couple of weeks, and then it seemed to be kind of jarring that the NCAA clearinghouse sent him away. That you weren't happy with that. Was anything addressed at that to prevent something similar from that happening this year?
Well, we don't know of any issues that anyone has with any of our players at this time, but it's possible that it could happen. If there's something that's being reviewed. But, we try to do the best job that we possibly can. And I think our compliance people and our admissions people here in our registrar's office all do a fabulous job of trying to make sure that the classes are going to be things that are not going to be issues with the NCAA. And we encourage the players to do things the right way so that they don't have issues down the road. And sometimes, it doesn't always work out that way, but we try to anticipate what the problems are going to be and try to give the guys good guidance and direction so that they don't have issues in the future. And, you know, we're hopeful that we won't have any this year. Thank you.